Hey everyone, Jody here along with Niki and Kellie, who are here too. Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
And guess what time it is, folks? It is the Radiotopia fundraiser. Hold your applause. Niki and Kellie are going crazy. I can tell. But look, this is the moment each year when we remind you, the listener, that this show and every show in the Radiotopia network exists because of listener support.
Yes, and as you know, we are an independent show. We make all our own decisions. We're big kids, but we're also part of this incredible collective called Radiotopia. You may have seen some of the things happening across the media landscape, the podcast landscape in particular, layoffs, entire companies are folding, shows are disappearing overnight, but not at Radiotopia. Radiotopia is growing. It's adding new shows, it's letting its creators try new things, and it's able to do that because it is built differently. It is creator-owned, independent, and powered by listeners who decide to support the shows and the network directly.
And that support feels really good. Like, don't we all need something that makes us feel really good? I know that I do. So I think we're looking for ways where we can support the things that we love and the things that we believe in. And that's where Radiotopia comes in. And when you give to Radiotopia, you're giving directly to the shows you love, not shareholders, not some big corporation, just to the creators and the stories you care about.
Look, if someone wants to be a shareholder, I'm not going to stop them.
By all means. But if you want to be a big corporation, we're going to judge you.
But look, it is true that the support you give to Radiotopia goes directly back to us and the other incredible shows that are part of this special collective. So if that sounds like the kind of media that you want to keep around and support, I hope you do. If you're listening, I have a hunch that you do. Help us keep it strong. Donate right now at thisdaypod.com. That's our website. You will see a link right there. It takes 1 minute. thisdaypod.com. And thank you, everyone. It really means a lot.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
This day is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
This show is supported by Odoo. When you buy business software from lots of vendors, the costs add up and it gets complicated and confusing. Odoo solves this. It's a single company that sells a suite of enterprise apps that handles everything from accounting to inventory to sales. Odoo is all connected on a single platform in a simple and affordable way. You can save money without missing out on the features you need. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
Hello and welcome to This Day, a history show from Radiotopia. My name is Jody Avirgan. We are back at November 1969 with a debut of a new public television show, Sesame Street. Sesame Street has hit the airwaves on November 10th, 1969. And now let's take a look at how it is received, what it has meant over the years, and of course our memories of the show. But here, as always, Nicole Hammer of Vanderbilt and Kellie Carter-Jackson of Wellesley. Hello there.
Hello, Jody.
Hey there.
Well, we're right there. It premieres. People like it, huh?
Well, I'll say so. I mean, except for the fact that, when you see Big Bird on the screen for the first time, he's terrifying.
Oh, he's scary. I feel like you look at the pictures. He's
Early Big Bird is a little janky.
It's tough.
I mean, he's like a 7-foot tall bird. How do you not get
like the feathers are all at like sort of weird angles, and like
beak's
you
a
can
little
tell
sharp.
that there's like a guy in there who probably was out till like 2:00 the night before, yeah.
Smells like SantaCon.
Yeah. But no, it is wonderful and it is warm and it is a revelation for the kids and parents of America.
And it gets a lot of pre-publicity. Like people know to tune in because it's being covered in newspapers and magazines. ABC and CBS are covering it. NBC has a half-hour preview during prime time before the show's debut. Like there's this real all of media effort to promote Sesame Street because it's not necessarily like it's not a commercial competitor, right? It's a public interest programming, and people are really on board, including special guest James Earl Jones.
So he's the first guest on the premiere episode of Sesame Street. As I mentioned, the episode is brought to you by the letters W, S, and E, and the numbers 2 and 3.
Strong start.
Yeah.
A very strong start.
Yes.
Great collection.
Really
of,
representative across the alphabet. You've got 3 of the 4 directions in there. It's just it's nice. You don't start with 1 because it's a little too predictable.
Yeah. I love it. 7 million people watched the first week. Those are huge numbers. Huge numbers.
And what is the sort of makeup of the show? And we talked a lot about the set and the feel of it is largely in space. I mean, is the format roughly the same? Which characters are around in that first episode?
You have some oldies but goodies, right? Like you've got the pivotal characters here. You got Big Bird, of course, looking again a little rough and ready. Kermit is there. Bert and Ernie, Oscar, of course, living in his trash can, Grover, and Cookie Monster eating cookies in the very first episode of Sesame Street.
You get all the bangers. I mean, you even get Ernie's Rubber Ducky. I cannot tell you how much I love Rubber Ducky, you're the one. Yeah. I mean, that was an instant, like the songs, the jingles that you hear throughout the show, even the opening, theme music, it all creates this vibe of just joy and playfulness that you kind of don't want to end all throughout the show. It's just enjoyable.
Yeah. First of all, Rubber Ducky is a bop. And it is a crossover hit. It sells over 1 million singles. It's at number 16 on the Billboard chart.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's Not Easy Being Green, also in the first season.
Oh, yeah.
So right from the get-go, they're like, they're putting out top flight work.
Yeah, this is GOAT TV. GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it really becomes a huge cultural phenomenon. By a couple years later, there's a New Yorker cartoon that shows a cop. It's outdoors. It shows a cop asking a little girl and her mom who are playing on the street, and the cop is admonishing them and saying, "Hey, why isn't your child at home watching Sesame Street?" Which, funnily enough, it's like the original idea here was like, oh my God, kids are spending way too much time watching TV and they're rotting their brains. And now they've created something, it's educational, but they've created something that is like plopping kids in front of the TV for hours and hours at a time.
For an hour at a time.
Yeah.
An hour at a time. Yeah. But, certainly parents can feel a lot better about this than, some of the other stuff that was on before.
And it really is like it got tons of attention before it aired, but it's getting tons of attention in those first few years. Big Bird makes the cover of Time magazine, very big moment for Big Bird. And it wins all of these awards. It wins a Peabody. It wins 3 Emmys. It wins a Prix Jeunesse, which is one of those children's television awards. And so it's getting recognized as a really successful show. TV Guide declares that it has enjoyed what may be the most astonishing success of any show in the whole history of American television. The whole history of American television. Sesame Street.
But should we say it's also not without controversy? I mean, because there's you think that the show, and it is quite revolutionary, but there are also places where the show is not being shown at all. I mean, states, people have to choose to air the show. And there's places where they're just not doing that. Like in Mississippi, they're choosing not to air Sesame Street because of, I think it was the shooting that just took place at, at Jackson State. And they're like, children are not ready for interracial, TV. We don't know if we can show something that looks so integrated like this. This is a bit too far, which is, again, a little wild when you think about it today. But back then, people were not all on board.
There also was this sense that, as groundbreaking as the show was, and as careful as the creators had been to have it be representative, there weren't really Latino characters in the early years. So they worked really hard to create Puerto Rican and Chicano cast members to teach Spanish words. They introduced more female puppets, which is controversial because Jim Henson is like, I don't know if women's arms can hold up the Muppets.
Come on, Jim.
They figure it out. It's fine. They introduce more of them. And then, there's this real sense that it's responsive and that it works. Children's Television Workshop gets together with the ETS people, the Educational Testing Service that does the SAT, in order to create a study to figure out, as George W. Bush would say, is our children learning? And they find that children is learning, that they increase their general knowledge by 19% if they watch every weekday. It's especially good for younger children, like in the 2, 3, 4 range. And I feel like that the New Yorker in 1972 kind of brings it all together in a review in which they write, it's as though all the lessons of New Deal federal planning and the 60s experience of the local people, the techniques of the totalitarian slogan in the American commercial, the devices of film and the cult of the famous, the research of educators and the talent of artists had combined in one small experiment to sell, by means of television, the rational, the humane, and the linear to little children. And look, that sounds like a bit mixed bag, right? Like totalitarian slogans, but that they'd all been pulled together in order to teach little kids, and a sense that like maybe it's working.
Yeah. I mean, look, it is better to have your kid watch Sesame Street than most other things that certainly at the time were available on TV. I do think, no surprise, there's a kind of over-indexing for how powerful of a force Sesame Street has been over the years. And there are people who have sort of, this notion that like, oh, it's going to heal racial divides and it's going to solve all the, and I think a number of people have pointed out, and studies have shown that like, no, the thing that actually helps people is like food security and housing and like universal pre-K, like those things. Yeah, good schools, like those things really matter too. Those are the infrastructure, and Sesame Street can help support that. But yeah,
I like to think of Sesame Street as like a vitamin, right? It's like a supplement. It cannot substitute pre-K. It cannot substitute school in general. But it can be a nice little boost that you need to supplement to your educational diet. And I think it does do those things in really powerful ways. But definitely we give it too much credit if we think it's going to do all of that on its own. That's an impossible task.
Hi, I'm Mike Troy, host of the American Revolution podcast on the Airwave Media Network. This podcast is the origin story of the United States, how we went from colonies ruled by a king to the democratic republic that we have today. The American Revolution podcast tells the story of the revolution from beginning to end. Please subscribe for free. We're available on all major podcast platforms. I hope you will join me today on the American Revolution podcast.
The countdown is on. Holiday shopping season is officially here, and Uncommon Goods takes the stress out of gifting with thousands of unique, high-quality finds you won't see anywhere else. Look, if you go to the Uncommon Goods website, it'll be obvious right away that they look for products that are high-quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. Many are crafted by independent artists and small businesses, making every gift feel meaningful and truly one of a kind. And it's not just gifts or items for the home. There is a section on their website labeled Experiences. I recently checked it out, and you can find all sorts of really unique classes, events, and more. I went ahead and bought myself a Trade Secrets coffee tasting class. The box just arrived in the mail, and in it are 5 different kinds of coffee and a guide to preparing them, evaluating them, making tasting notes, basically an at-home blind taste test. There's even a Zoom session I could join with an expert to walk me through it. I'm really excited about this. I'll report back once I find my perfect cup. So, whether it's an experience like a coffee tasting or map making or a toy or an item for the home or kitchen, don't wait. Cross those names off your list before the rush. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/thisday. That's uncommongoods.com/thisday for 15% off. Uncommon Goods. We're all out of the ordinary. This day is brought to you by Quince. Look, you have heard me talk about all the amazing luxury clothing you can get at fair prices from Quince. I'm wearing my very own cable knit sweater right now as I record this. In many parts of the country, the weather is turning colder. It is time to get cozy with sweaters and jackets and Italian wool coats. You can get all of that for great prices on Quince. But can I also direct your attention to a section on their website called Home? That's right, it is not just clothing. And if you want to get cozy, how about a cashmere blanket throw for just $129? There are pillows, blankets, sheets, towels, linens. Quince has it all. You can upgrade your look and your home or apartment. It's time to step into the holiday season with layers made to feel good, look polished, and last. all from Quince. Perfect for gifting or keeping for yourself. Go to quince.com/thisday for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's quince.com/thisday to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/thisday. All right, let's talk a little bit about our memories of Sesame Street and our kind of history with the show. You know, you mentioned some of the iconic characters were there right from the beginning. I want to take a moment to shout out some of the lost Muppets of Sesame Street. Does anyone remember Leslie Mostly or Deanna and Pearl? Shivers the Penguin? Stella.
I remember Shivers the Penguin.
Construction work. Yeah. So a lot of these, I think, like were in the 80s where they were just kind of like maybe feeling a little stale and trying some new things. But Sesame Street throughout the years has introduced human and Muppet characters, and then sort of they've frittered away. And a lot of times it has been, to your point, Niki, like responsive to, well, do we have a Hispanic character? Do we have a gay character? Do we have, in the case of Shivers the Penguin lobby probably was like, hey, where's our representation? But
I think Gloria was like huge. Do you remember Gloria? Like, I feel like there's so many characters that just stick with you and don't really go away. And it's just like, I know throughout the years they've changed the cast and they've updated it and they've like made it more modern. And even to my like deep regret, they've changed like the opening jingle theme song, which I was like, wait, no, like that to me was like,
why did they do that?
I don't know. They made it a little more like contemporary, kind of like hip-hop-y. It was I'm a fan of the original always, and that kind of almost like Stevie Wonder harmonica, sort of like the idea of hearing that jingle is like, I don't know, it tricks something in the back of my brain like about childhood. But those characters, I think, will always be iconic in people's lives. Even Elmo, Elmo was, I feel like, their breakout Muppet that just took off. I remember the year people were going crazy over like the Tickle Me Elmo dolls when they were like the hype new Christmas gift for children. And those things still have resonance.
Well, I think that also gets at like Sesame Street, even though it was the product of a government initiative and a public-private partnership, like the funding to public television was cut dramatically over the course of the 80s and 90s. And so there was this need to branch out into a more commercial side of things. So like Tickle Me Elmo was like a toy created to raise money and to help fund all of these efforts. Did you guys have Sesame Street books?
I did.
There's one called The Monster at the End of This Book, which is about Grover. I don't want to spoil it, but there's a monster at the end of the book. And it just like ratchets up the tension throughout. That was one of my favorites. I loved reading that book. But there were all of these like products associated with it.
Mm-hmm. But also, I mean, like I think about the fact that I watched Sesame Street with my parents, which is interesting because not a lot of shows, I mean, literally the TV is like watching me. The TV is the babysitter. You know what I mean? But like my dad loved the count, like, 1, 2, and my dad would laugh hysterically.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
And those are times that I feel like, adults are also like getting like revisiting their inner child while watching these shows.
Or just that there are jokes written for adults. And I think that's, when we made our list of kind of big insights that this show had, that's definitely on that list, is like an understanding among some of the best. And I actually think we're happen to be living in a like very lucky moment for that now, where a lot of the like kids stuff that I have to engage with actually does recognize that like, oh, a parent is likely listening to this too in the car or watching this alongside with their kid, and like we should write some jokes and be clever and do some stuff that's going to go over a kid's head but is going to make a parent feel engaged. And I mean, it's not a coincidence that so much of the kind of like cultural stew that Sesame Street came out of was like Jim Henson was working on SNL, like these people were all kind of like in these various circles where they were kind of dealing with more adult themes and so forth as well. But yes, I mean, I like like my kid never engaged with Kids Bop, and I'm just like so thankful that like I seem to have just missed an era where there was like I mean, like I banned Cocomelon in my house and stuff. There's still very dumb stuff out there, but a lot of the stuff I get to engage with, I'm like, oh, I get this too. This is funny to me too.
Yes.
I think there was this period between like Teletubbies and Cocomelon where there was this whole like era of kids television slop that just just did not appeal to parents and was very brain rotty.
Yes, and there's still,
and I mean, YouTube is full of that stuff, and a lot of it is AI generated and so forth. So like, you still have to, you're still sort of hacking through the jungle to make your choices. But
I am fighting my children all the time to watch a scripted show, and they're like, a scripted show, because they're obsessed with YouTube, and I'm like, we're watching PBS Kids. Like, somebody put on Sesame Street, somebody put on Curious George. Like, like I long for the day when they, really cherish those shows. And now it seems like YouTube is sort of taking over in this way that doesn't offer the same sort of value. Certainly not the educational value that I had once had.
You don't think TikTok is delivering on the education front?
No, not at all. Not at all.
The algorithm isn't doing it.
I mean, I feel like I learned my ABCs and numbers through like, what was that one song where it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
11, 12. God, how is that embedded still? Because I don't have kids, so I've not had this refreshed for like 40 years. And it is there. So whatever mad psychology happened to make this show, it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I want to hear your other kind of favorite characters or moments or sketches, but I think this is the moment where I have to confess that actually Sesame Street is not really a thing for me. It's kind of amazing.
Wait, what?
But like,
you said it's not a thing for you?
No.
What?
Like I don't think I really grew up watching it. I mean, I grew up overseas, I guess. And so like it wasn't on TV when I would just be flipping on the TV. But like, I'm serious. Like say Grover, I can't tell you what Grover looks like. Some of this stuff is just like a blind spot for me. Like I know who Big Bird is. I know who Ernie.
I'm picking my jaw up off the floor.
I
know. It's got a crazy black hole for me.
Do you know who Snuffleupagus is?
Yeah, I know who Snuffleupagus is. But I couldn't tell you a sketch. I couldn't tell you like a moment.
Do you know
that
he's an invisible friend?
He's invisible?
Yeah, only Big Bird can see him.
What? That's not.
It's Big Bird's invisible friend.
I think you might be making this
I am not making this up.
Yeah, I had no idea.
This to me though is revealing a lot, and it tells a lot about, because you grew up mostly out of the United States, and when we had au pairs, like international child caregivers, and I would say something about like a Sesame Street reference, like "Oh Elmo" or Big Bird, and they would look at me like, "What now?" And in other countries, they did have something similar to Sesame Street, but they called it something different, and the Muppets look different, and there's this whole different like alternate universe of like Sesame Street in Spain or something like that. But I am just blown away by that. That feels like not knowing Mickey Mouse.
A lot of like 80s, 90s pop culture stuff is just like totally just like a black hole for me.
We're going to have to revisit. We're going to have to binge watch.
Yeah. And then my daughter like watched
remedial.
Sesame Street, but it wasn't like huge to the point where like, I felt like I caught back up. That said, so I want to hear your kind of core memories and thoughts. I will tell you, it's funny if I was thinking about this earlier, like, okay, what's my favorite Sesame Street sketch or song or whatever? And it's probably a thing that like I see now pop up in my like algorithmic like Instagram Reels feeds fairly often, which is the Jesse Jackson doing the "I Am Somebody." Do you know that moment where he's on Sesame Street and he's reciting a poem with the kids, and it's called "I Am Somebody," and it's like really beautiful and moving and self-affirming. And that's I looked it up. It's Jesse Jackson in 1972.
Wow.
Appeared on Sesame Street. But like, obviously I wasn't alive. I don't have a core memory of that, but like that's probably the closest thing to like a Sesame Street sketch I loved. But it's only because I've been seeing clips of it like in the last 10 years.
Often think that the guest stars in Sesame Street, like that's part of the For the Adults programming. Like it means something to kids in the sense that like, okay, there are people talking and maybe they're delivering like a really cool message that's moving to them, or like having a funny interaction with the characters. But like the kids by and large don't know who those people are. Yeah. But the parents do. And so to have somebody like Jesse Jackson, I mean, that's really fascinating because it is kind of like it's civil rights activism. It's a kind of Black pride moment to have a Black man saying, you know, I am someone on this show. I think it means something in a way that's different, and not just means something to the children, but means something to the adults who are watching as well.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I mean, I have so many moments from Sesame Street. I don't know that I have a favorite episode. I did have favorite characters. I mean, still love Cookie Monster. Like, I still kind of feel like Ernie's a jerk, especially to Bert. Like, I feel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, they're. It's hard to tell.
Is that his vibe?
I feel like, and I don't know if they're roommates or brothers or lovers.
Well,
I mean, they're roommates plus. Let's put it that way.
As a kid, I thought they were brothers. So for some reason, as a kid, you're not thinking very much beyond your own framework. But like, I remember thinking Big Bird was kind of corny, but I loved Oscar the Grouch. I loved Grover because he was so silly. I just enjoyed all of the Muppets, especially Kermit. You know, like these personalities have all sort of, like, I feel like we could all sort of figure out what Muppet we most relate to as in terms of our own selves. And I really connected with that and all of the jingles, all the songs.
All of the songs really stick with you. I agree, Kelly, that there aren't like episodes that stand out to me. And I think that's in part because it is kind of this, like, it's atmospheric in a way, right? You learn a lot from it. It gets like wed to your brain. But it's not like they have like storylines, I guess. But more the characters are kind of tropes or their standards, right? And so the count comes in and counts, and you run around the house going, "What?"
Yeah.
And that just becomes part of the language of your childhood in a way. I would also say, like, it's so 70s coded to me. Like Bert and Ernie are wearing those like earth tone striped sweaters that just, and all the kids are wearing like the high knee socks with the stripes on top.
Yes.
Again, like everyone's wearing like avocado and mustard and like a warm brown. It feels
fall.
To me
it's giving
like,
fall.
It's very much giving fall, but it's very much giving 1970s in this way that just feels instantly nostalgic. And I think that for me is the Sesame Street vibe. Like, it just feels like nostalgia. It feels like home in a way because it's so warm and it's so much like I'm on the like brown shag carpet in the home I grew up in until I was 5. And it feels like home in a way that is really comforting.
I do appreciate how Sesame Street has also very much evolved. I mean, if you watch more recent episodes and they talk about things like, you know, divorce or autism or, even war and like things that are like really challenging to have conversations with kids about. And they do it in a way that's just so compassionate. You know, they did a whole thing about skin color and loving your skin and loving your hair. And like, those are things, the ways that I introduced like the concepts of like melanin to my own kids and like their hair textures. Like, those things are so usable now. They age very well. And it's hard to find cartoons now that age well, that like hold up, that you could watch 20 years from now and be like, yeah, that still tracks. That's still a really good, loving episode talking about Johnny has 2 dads or whatever it is. Like, there's a great way that they do it that just holds up so nicely.
I mean, the power of just seeing yourself in a character is just, you know, and so, yes, it has meant a lot to a lot of different people when they see themselves reflected on that show. All right, well, let's start to wrap it up. I mean, we should say, like, I think a lot of our conversation has been a little bit about the kind of consistency of this show, and I think that's a testament to how powerful and correct the first sort of idea was. It has, you know, evolved over the years, especially in just this last year. I mean, one of the big storylines around Sesame Street is, you know, with PBS coming under fire and the, you know, government going after PBS, the future of Sesame Street was in doubt, and it's going to continue to air on the first episode of the new season. Season 56 is running the day that our episode is coming out, and they are going to be on PBS stations, but also now on Netflix and then YouTube.
And HBO.
kind of
They used to be on HBO,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. And funnily enough, YouTube kind of came in amidst all this over the last few months and really big is now going to be the main home for the archive of Sesame Street, and all the stuff is going to be there, because that was one of the big things that was going to be in peril, is where it is the sort of long history of this show, and that's actually going to be centered on YouTube, funnily enough. So there you go. You will still be able to get your Sesame Street fix.
Love that.
All right. Very fun episode. I'm really glad we did this. And actually, let's get our listeners involved here too. We will post in our newsletter and ask for people's favorite characters or sketches, or maybe we'll make a little playlist of favorite moments. But we'll do that in our newsletter, which you can subscribe to at thisdaypod.com. Nicole Hammer, thanks to you as always.
Thank you, Jody.
And Kellie Carter-Jackson, thanks to you.
My pleasure.
Okay, here we go. I am somebody. I am somebody. I may be poor. But I am somebody. I may be young. But I am somebody. I may be on welfare. But I am somebody. I may be small. But I am somebody. I may make a mistake. But I am somebody. My clothes are different. My face is different. My hair is different. But I am somebody. I am black, brown, white. I speak a different language. But I must be respected, protected, never rejected. I am God's child. I am somebody. Give yourself a big hand.
This Day is a proud member of Radiotopia, a network of independent, artist-produced podcasts. Don't forget to sign up for our America250 Watch newsletter. Every Thursday, members get exclusive access to analysis and information about the upcoming semi-quincentennial, commentary from our team, and a list of fascinating things that happened that week throughout history. Join in, find out lots more at thisdaypod.com. You can also follow This Day Pod on Instagram, Blue Sky, and YouTube. Jacob Feldman is our researcher. Brittany Brown is our editor. My name is Jody Abergan. See you soon.
Radiotopia.